I didn't think that there was anything for me in bare knuckle, but there was a prophet that came in and he said that in 2 weeks I would get a phone call from a really big promotion. 2 weeks from the day he said that, I got a call. For me, it's like getting beat up by my big sister or getting bullied by people in school. My mom coming home having a bad day. For me, fighting is a continuation of what would have happened if I wasn't in such a bad spot. Like maybe if I was more dominant. Of course, I was a child, little, vulnerable, so I couldn't stand up for myself. But I feel like I'm standing up for myself by being a fighter. Honestly, a lot of people I feel they overlook me and undervalue me because I've taken such hard fights. I just got to a point where people were saying, like guys were saying, hey, can we not train together because you're embarrassing me? And I want respect from people in the gym, and I feel like I'm not getting it when we go together. So it was so crazy looking back on it. I've never talked about this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have got Jenny Savage in the booth today. So there have been some, potential BKFC and Bare Knuckle guests, but I really wanted to reserve this for you. Like I wanted you to be the first. So, here we go.
Thank you so much.
I think you're just interesting. We were just talking a little bit off air, and mysterious, and your story hasn't been really, documented. I think you're about to get into your prime, so I think now is the time to, to get out with it and, get to know the real Jenny Savage. And
thank you.
Yeah. So how have you been? Like, how's it been? How's everything been since like the last few months before, like since you last fought, and how have things been?
It's been pretty good. It's definitely been a spiritual awakening for me. When you lose to somebody that you don't like on a really big show, on like the biggest show I've ever had, it'll definitely take a toll on your mind. And I think that it's affected me for the positive because it's actually revealed to me where I need to work. And I've learned that it's not my skills, though I'm going to keep pursuing to find the best training and advancing as much as I can in those areas. I feel like what holds me back is my mind. And I've been through a lot in the past like year or so with this pandemic, losing my son's father to suicide and not being able to advance in my lifestyle like I want to, or just college taking up a lot of my energy and time.
Yeah.
It's a lot at once, which it's sort of like, of course I don't know how to explain it, but after all that tragedy happened, that's not what I'm grateful for, but everything else that came with it kind of gave me my identity a little, or I guess like showed me that I don't really know myself like I thought I did. And I feel like when I took this fight with Britain, it kind of, see, this is so hard to get these words out because I've been sitting on this for so long.
We're gonna get there too. Like, I mean, you're going through the whole rundown of the show right now. These bullet points. So we'll get it. We'll get it worded properly. For sure.
Yeah,
throughout
I'm trying.
this conversation. No, I get what you mean. I mean, like for me, like it's for everybody, and I think for a fighter specifically, it's like it's even harder. Like, but the toll that the pandemic has had on people has really had us thinking about like really discovering ourselves, really getting to know ourselves, because we're just like stuck with like everything. A lot of things are taken away from us. And you have to get into that survival mode, and sort of through that you learn yourself, you learn about your personality, and I've also gotten to know myself like more than any other year before. Like I'm 29, I just turned 29.
Happy birthday.
Well, in August, so it's okay, but thanks. Yeah.
So
but
belated.
yes, belated. But I think the last like 2 years have been so pivotal to my life, even more than the previous, like the 27 before that. I think it's great. Like you did take that fight to sort of challenge yourself. I think you said like, because you're also smaller, and I give you a lot of credit for going in there and doing that, especially on like you also went after a name that had just beaten Paige Van Zandt, who was supposed to be this poster girl for BKFC, and throwing yourself in the bit. You're doing the right thing. I mean, don't blame me for that. And it's awesome. Like that's one of the reasons I want you on. It's one of the.
Thank you so
I
much.
think.
Yeah, I didn't want to pad my record for this. I honestly, a lot of people I feel they overlook me and undervalue me because I've taken such hard fights. I can't be a bully. I've never been the type, I'm supposed to be a 105-pound fighter, but I can't be a bully.
Is that?
Yeah, I can't be a bully. I have opportunities. Sometimes I'll get, I've actually fought a girl one time that she was a drug addict, but I didn't know that she was until we had to weigh in. She didn't show up. And then the day of the fight, I seen her and I was like, no. So I swiftly submitted her. I didn't try to strike with her at all because I just felt irresponsible. I feel really guilty when I fight somebody that's not on my level. So I try to go after people that are high ranks, that think that they're the best. And I might not make it on the other end, but I feel like it's more for me, at the end of the day when it comes to my decision of who I fight. Yeah,
but like I think that should be done more. I mean, there's too many people fighting lower competition, exactly, like padding the record. And do you really climb the ranks? Also in terms of fan base, because that's very important, of course. Like, you need people to be invested in you as a person.
Yes.
And they need to respect you. Like, also respect. It's a respect thing. Like, who?
Yeah.
Like, it might take you, like, maybe you now jumped. What you did with one fight in terms of recognition is probably more than 3 other fights that you might have won.
Yes.
So yeah. So yeah, and I think a lot of logical people would agree with that. There's a lot of illogical people, and
well,
I think me and you both, we kind of have a little bit of I've also disdain towards like traditional sports media, but we'll get to that as well at some point. In the beginning, let's go to the beginning of like how would you describe your childhood in one word?
Traumatic.
Traumatic. Okay.
Yeah, I've had a lot of trauma. I'm a middle child of 3 siblings. I didn't know my dad growing up, and my mom worked like 3 jobs. She was always out and about. And then, my sisters had their fathers take care of them and stand up for them. But, I feel like when my sisters was overbearing, including myself with my mom, I'm the one that got the blunt end of my mom's, verbal, emotional, and physical abuse. I feel like it's only because that's all she's known growing up herself. So for me, I feel like, looking back as a child, I was very like, why me? But now looking back on it, I feel like it was the stepping stone for my ability to be the fighter I am. I pretty much, I fight because I never want to be put in that situation again. And even if I lose a fight, I could always get back up and I could always fight like the fight was, it never ended. So for me, it's like getting beat up by my big sister or getting bullied by people in school. My mom coming home having a bad day. For me, fighting is a continuation of what would have happened if I wasn't in such a bad spot. Like maybe if I was more dominant. Of course, I was a child, little, vulnerable. So I couldn't stand up for myself. But I feel like I'm standing up for myself by being a fighter.
You're avenging all of that.
Yes, for sure. Perfect word.
Yeah. So it's because this is like, it's a common theme though, like amongst a lot of fighters. Like, well, I mean, what I love about interviewing fighters is the backgrounds are also different and stuff, but there's always that element that is similar, and some have it to varying degrees of either a rough childhood or they're fighting doubters, or they're fighting whatever. And it's awesome for me to see like people overcome that. And I think I can learn from it as well in all things, like even in business, and
Absolutely.
because it's funny, like, because I in the beginning was like I was put into combat sports. I started with Taekwondo, and then I myself moved into boxing like at an early age, and didn't pick it up professionally and anything. But I remember my father, because I also had like issues in school, and I think everybody gets bullied to some degrees, and I've been bullied and I have bullied, and it's like a thing. But now it's funny, my father recently like mentioned this. He's like, what's funny, you ended up becoming good at the things that you didn't like. It's like the fights and all that. Good at it and fighting back. So part of me wants to see those people now, like,
yeah.
But yeah. But it's cool. Like,
they're seeing you now. If they're haters, they're watching you now, and they see how successful you are. So you're beating them in that sense. So
were you ever like so were you always athletic? Were you always into sports? Like, did you do sports as a child as well?
Yes, I had to. It was something that at some point I had to take care of my siblings, my step brothers,
Hmm.
and um, I had to do a lot of like help around the house. So rearranging things and then doing housework outside. When I get in trouble, my mom would send me to my grandparents' house, and my grandma, she would always find something for you to do. Like she has a really big yard. Her backyard is like she's on a hill, so she would like literally give me a wheelbarrow and pick
Hmm.
up rocks and go up and down for no reason if I was bad. So there was
Yeah.
those kind of things. And then I was athletic. But I had lied to my mom. I told her that my grades were bad, so I had to stay after school.
Uh-huh.
And eventually it caught up with me. She found out I lied, and I was actually boxing. It was in middle school,
Oh.
so I went with
Wait,
some
so
friends,
you were getting good
and
grades.
yeah, I was actually getting decent, yeah,
Usually
pretty
people like
decent
lie
grades.
the
I
other way
didn't have to
around.
stay.
Like,
Yeah,
usually it's like, no, I'm getting good grades, and I hide your report card and stuff. Not
yeah,
bad,
yeah.
not bad.
I'm actually doing bad. Like, let me go to this credit recovery. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
you were doing boxing,
yeah.
yeah,
And then
hiding it.
yeah, and then I did the same thing with wrestling. I just stayed after school, said it was JROTC, which I was a raider. It's pretty much like you compete against push-ups, sit-ups, climbing ropes, things like that. Pretty
Hmm.
military based. But I fell for wrestling, and I wanted to wrestle really bad. And I seen a couple of my friends do it. And my boyfriend's brother at the time, my son's dad at the time, I wrestled with his brother. So I always had a way to get home. And my mom kind of always was like, oh, okay, you're just working on your JRTC. But no, I was wrestling. And when she found out that I needed a physical form back to continue wrestling, which at the time I had opened the very first girls wrestling team in the county and the second in the state, I believe. And my mom just would not sign that. She would not get me a physical from the doctor and
Oh man.
sign the form. So I never got to continue. And then that's when I got pregnant with my son at 15 years old.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Rebellious. I would say. Yeah.
Yes, very rebellious. I just
Yeah.
wanted my mom to support me as she was busy
Mm.
with her jobs and her
Is it
stress.
that she also thought like what's the point, like what's the future in this, like there's no
Yeah,
future in this? I mean, even
I'm a
back in the, like
girl.
there
She
wasn't a
didn't think
future in this
girls
really.
were supposed to do it. Do
Yeah,
what?
true. I mean, like what was I saying? Like yeah, that there was no future. There's still like even back in that day there was no future in it anyway. So like it kind of like exploded all of a
Yeah,
sudden, this
for
MMA
sure.
thing. And yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. I heard the same from buddies with Ashley Evan Smith. At this point,
Oh
like
wow.
she was wrestling, and she's at yeah, you're at Sucker Punch, so she works there too. But she has the same thing. She like started wrestling in college and didn't even know what MMA was, and that's like nowadays people are getting into it at like 7 years old or younger even, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm jealous. I see all these little
Yeah.
prospects. I like to do scorekeeping at the jujitsu tournaments. And I'll see all these little kids. Like I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous.
They're
You
already
know?
better than me. Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, they really
Yeah.
are.
It's crazy to see like where this level is gonna go. So yeah. Okay. And school, like you in school for you was like, so you say wasn't necessarily difficult to get good grades and high grades and all that, you know?
It was only difficult to turn my work in because life at home wasn't the easiest. So
Hmm.
I'd be so disheveled. And then I got to a point where I felt like, my son's father was the only one that had my back. So we rebelled. And
Mm.
yeah, um, grades were not an issue. It was just, like I said, it got to a point where my mind was always my issue. I actually got kicked out of school
Mm.
um, for having an anxiety attack that I blacked
Oh
out and I
yeah.
threw a desk because I had really
Mm.
bad anger problems I couldn't let out. I thought wrestling would have been the solution for all of that. So after I had my son, I went back to school, tried to wrestle. Things like that didn't work out for me. Yeah, and I snapped one day during math class. So I ended up getting homebound training, which is where a teacher comes to your house, and I finished out my school year at home, and at least I got to graduate. I went to
Yeah,
jail before I graduated, but
that's wild too. What's the story
yeah,
there? I mean, like, because
I was
I'm
fighting
trying to
my
paint like
son's father.
everything, like what shapes the fighter, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up getting into an altercation with my son's father. We decided to split up. I was in state's custody at the time. Me and my mom got into it one last time, and the school noticed. So I ended up going to the state, and I was old enough that I could figure out how to, take care of myself because I had my son and I was 17, about to turn 18. And then I turned 18 and I was staying with my son's father's dad. And we had broken up. I had gotten a boyfriend and whatever. And we fought over pretty much disrespecting my new boyfriend. And I hit him. And yeah, so somebody seen it, called the cops. We tried to lie about it, but we had conflicting stories. So we both went to jail. And
was that your first ever like bare knuckle strike or?
Yeah, actually.
It was,
well, yeah. I guess you could say that was my first bare knuckle strike.
Yeah. So it's impressive you didn't break your hand then. But
yeah,
that's wild. I mean, so when you got out, what was going through your mind? Like, because now you gotta take charge of your life, and you have to figure out how to make an income and everything an adult has to figure out, and everyone is still having a tough time with it. There's all these pressures. So, and you basically come out without a pot to piss in,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
What's
for sure.
What's your mindset like at that point? Like, what are all those crazy thoughts like going through your mind?
Well, enough to, my mom had to get some help, and she had a trailer and decided to leave it to me when I turned 18. And so I took care of the trailer for a little while, and had a boyfriend try to take it from me. It was real hard. It was like I had to depend on a lot of roommates to help me pay the bills. And I worked at a phone store. It was my very first real job, and I was a manager, and I was trying to keep, the trailer. I was trying to keep my bills on, and then I got robbed. I hired somebody to hold a sign, and yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
And I guess he was paying attention how much I paid. And at the time, guys who were running the business were really shady people. So I was practically restored myself, nobody coming to visit. So I had whatever money was there. It was the money I made. And I walked home one day with my friend who I hired to hold signs, and his friends started walking with us, and I didn't think nothing of it. And I had a bag of phones, because at the time I was repairing phones. They weren't the fancy smartphones that they are now. And I was walking, and I was smoking. I was smoking a blunt, and I passed it to my friend. And when I did that, somebody came up from behind me and sucker punched me, and just started jumping me. And the next thing I know, this girl, like, I threw her off of me, and then these 3 guys grabbed me. This one guy was trying to grab in my shirt because he knew that's where my money was. And I got taken for a ride.
So a lot of adversity.
Yeah, well, I ended up getting my money back.
How'd you do that?
Well, I have people. I got friends in low places, and I
always say, like, some people have friends in high places. I have high friends in places.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, I was dating somebody at the time who he was selling drugs, and they tried to buy drugs from him, and they didn't have money before. And they said that they robbed a stupid white girl, and I was the only stupid white girl with money. So they ended up robbing them back, and I got my money. And I was talking to the cops, and my boyfriend came up, and he was like, "You ain't got to say nothing. Here's the money. I'll go on. Let's go. So that was a very eventful moment of my life, to say the least.
So then you continue training.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So
well,
it was always your passion and outlet, I guess.
Yeah. Eventually, I started training. I found an old friend who took me under his wing and brought me in, and we were old wrestling buddies before I had to quit wrestling. And it's Adrian Thomas. We ended up being together after that, and we're going on 9 years together.
Mm-hmm. So. He's your current boyfriend who doing pro wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
we follow him too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's like, you go way back.
Yes, way back to high school. I wish I actually wanted to date him, but I ended up dating my son's father instead. And
because of the mutual rebellion.
Yep, mutual rebellion. He was the only guy that did the same stuff as me, so like we could relate on that level.
Mm-hmm. I think I might have been able, like, there was a phase where I would have gotten with my partner in crime in a way, you know, that
Yeah.
back in high school. But I was already dating someone, so it kind of like
The opposite.
similar. The opposite, yeah, the opposite, yeah.
Similar but
Like,
opposite, yeah.
I knew she was interested, but it couldn't, like, I was comfortable where I was, you know. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
that
good.
didn't end up working out, so yeah. Well, you know, that was back in you know, grew up in the Middle East. It's like that's far away. That's all far away. I'm half Jordanian, so
I love your
half
accent,
Dutch.
by the way.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. It's I don't know what combination it was. I think it's not Dutch. Maybe it's a combined like Dutch Arabic-ish.
Yeah,
You know?
it's similar
So
to my
just,
grandma.
Where's your grandma from?
She's from Germany, but she grew up in Brazil. So she doesn't have a straight German accent. She sounds
right.
Spanish a little bit, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So it's not like did you learn any German?
A little. They wanted to keep a lot of stuff from us. My big sister learned more German than I did. She was more fluent, yeah. And if she would have actually liked it, we probably would know more. But she didn't.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you do the accent sometime, like at some point during
yeah.
one of the stories.
I'm good at the accent.
Yeah. So at what point did you really figure out like that there's a future, like there's a that you have something and you can actually make a living? Well, not necessarily a living, like even like just make a paycheck out of fighting.
Well, I had trusted a friend, and she needed some help getting her stuff back from a boyfriend. And I allowed her to use my roommate's car. It was a stick shift. I couldn't drive it. And she like pretty much tried to take her stuff back from her ex, but he wasn't home. Somebody seen it and they called the cops. And we ran when we seen him pull up because it was before the cops were even there or anything. And she had the keys to the car. So I followed her, and come to find out she, I guess she wasn't supposed to do any of that, and we got arrested. She didn't tell me about it, so I got arrested for being affiliated with her. And that was my breaking point. I wanted to kill her because I had my son at home. She used me. She drug my name through the dirt. Everybody that we went to school with called me a piece of crap. They were like, I'm gonna die or end up in jail within the next 5 years. And when I seen that one comment, I kind of like snapped, because I was honestly like, I was just trying to be a friend. And then I was told that I wasn't a good friend because I could have told her to not do it. So there was a lot of stuff that went into it. And I really felt like I was at my lowest point. That was when I wasn't living in the trailer anymore. I was trying to live with my grandmother. I didn't have nowhere to go really other than that. After I met my boyfriend, I would actually try to stay with him and train with him all night until like, you know, like I could sleep in his car with him. He actually had a place to live, but I didn't want to crash the style over there. So, because I don't use people, you know, like it was hard for me to ask. So I just try to like talk to him all night in the car. And when we realized,
Pride.
you know, a lot of pride. And so I'd either stay at the gym until we were told we couldn't sleep at the gym. And it was so crazy looking back on it. I've never talked about this.
Yeah.
Kind of has me emotional.
You kind of used it as maybe a distraction, like, you know, you you wanted to stay active or keep your mind off things, and you just had to stay at the gym the whole time. So you're like, I might as well train, right? You might as well continue training.
Yeah, well, I found out that I wanted to get everyone to take me seriously.
Yeah.
Because I just started.
Did you find like because like the difference in combat sports and other sports is like I feel like the family feeling is so much different because it's a smaller community. People have each other's backs in the gyms, you know.
Yeah.
And you just end up finding like great friendships and great bonds, and people become family. Like, you know, feel like that's I was like I'm being an amateur psychologist right now, but you know, I feel like that's the case, and then that happened for a reason.
Yeah, for sure, because you know, my coaches now, I mean, I left and went to Gamebred, but I came back and it's the same coach that was there all this time. And he's like a dad to me, you know, that I never had, Mike Merriman. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional because I realized that happened. That part of my life was real. I figured out that I wanted to fight because I just wanted to feel accepted by friends. And like you just said, I wanted that environment. So yeah, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I was like, please let me fight. Please let me fight. And I finally got a kickboxing match after a year of training there. And what was funny is I won. I kicked her and I knocked her out by liver shot, but I ended up hitting her again, which is, you can't do that in Muay Thai rules.
Oh yeah.
And so I had to fight again, and then it was a draw. So I knew right then and there, I was like, I have to get my revenge. You know, I have to, like we said earlier, I had to avenge that too. So
yeah. I mean, with a lack of experience, you kind of fight so emotional all the time, you know, like it's bound to happen. Like people make those mistakes all the time, but you know.
Yeah. For sure.
You kind of got to draw, right? Do you think it was a robbery or
it was
always
fair.
a dispute, right?
That was fair
yeah,
because
close.
I should have not hit her again. But had I won,
oh wait, you got the draw for that fight. I thought you had the rematch and then it was a draw.
No. This was my very, very first kickboxing match.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, then
yeah.
No complaints, you know.
Yeah,
you
it was Muay Thai.
That's all right. Yeah. Yeah. I guess you loved it, of course. And who made you? Your coach make you believe that you had a future in it? In
I mean, everybody did. I just got to a point where people were saying, like guys were saying, "Hey, can we not train together because you're embarrassing me?" And I want respect from people in the gym, and I feel like I'm not getting it when we go together. So I knew when I started getting messages like that online, and then coaches telling me, "Hey, we're not going to let you go with that girl." I knew that I had a gift, because there was no way that I was taking out all these people and making people avoid me in the gym. And so I really wanted to see what I had going on in the cage.
And you weren't grappling. Well, you were wrestling, right? But when did you add jiu-jitsu to your game and think you were a well-rounded enough fighter to take it professional?
Right away,
you know,
or to the amateur fights. Yeah, right away. Actually, the minute that I stepped in the gym, I was interested because it was like wrestling with submissions. So I already knew how to wrestle. I just needed to know the rear naked chokes and the arm bars, and I acquired both of those submissions, how to do them. And so I just decided that if that's what I'm catching everyone with, then why not take it to the amateur? So I'd say within like a year or two of training, I had my first cage match and I won. I threw a spinning back fist into a rear naked choke and I submitted my opponent. So
doesn't happen too often. So that's cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly. Like you do you watch a lot of fights? Like do you watch UFC? Do you watch boxing maybe? Do you
I used to in the beginning. I don't watch it as much anymore unless it's one of those big fights that we gather together to watch with the team. But I don't, because it gives me anxiety. It makes me want to fight. And so I try to, not really watch it that much. I watch boxing more than anything. A lot.
Oh, so you watched the Fury Wilder fight?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's wild.
we got a treat there. No, because I was gonna say like that same night you had the Dern Rodriguez fight on in UFC, and I was just saying like I analyzed it recently, and really like Mackenzie Dern is one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in all of MMA, I think.
Yeah,
but
of course.
That's the thing, like the wrestling. If she can add wrestling to that and actually initiate the takedowns, man, she's gonna be a killer. Like, so.
Oh yeah, she took out somebody in my area. Do I?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mandy Polk.
I mean,
she dominated her.
Yeah. And you had the wrestling. You already had the wrestling and you just had to, perfect a couple submissions.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you had 7 pro fights in MMA.
Yes. Well, I had.
And then suddenly.
Yeah, you're right.
So 7 in MMA. And then this new organization pops up, Bare Knuckle, BKFC. And it's brutal. And people don't know what to think.
Yeah.
So what was the series of events that led to you suddenly getting approached, getting signed by them?
Well, what was really funny was I had been asked.
And also,
for years,
what's going on through your mind to even want to do something like that?
Well, at first I didn't want to. I said, I think that's a retirement type of environment. Like if you want to, retire, that's a good way to go. And I said that's not for me yet. I wanted to go pretty much everywhere but Invicta. I wanted to be signed. So I was more interested in MMA. I didn't think that there was anything for me in bare knuckle, but I ended up going and having this tragedy with my son's father taking his life. And I fled to a church, Riverside Church, here in Clarksville, Tennessee. And they pretty much took me under their wing. And there was a prophet that came in a couple months later. It was in November. And he said that in 2 weeks, I would get a phone call from a really big promotion. I actually have it on my Instagram. I posted it. And that I was going to get a really big offer, and I had to bring the light of the kingdom to this really dark place. And I really wasn't sure what they were talking about. I kind of thought they were saying maybe the UFC or something. This guy, this prophet, he had no idea that I was a fighter, but he said, by me telling him, he had no idea I was a fighter. He just, I guess, knew from Holy Spirit. And he said to me that if I pray in the Spirit, no opponent will be able to stand in front of me, and that I would be $1 million daughter, and I'll be known as the daughter of the king. So I've been really practicing, trying to pray in the Spirit since then. But I ended up 2 weeks from the day that he said that. 2 weeks from the day he said that, I got a call, and the offer was to potentially fight Paige Van Zandt in the future. I might not, but the offer is there. She's gonna come, and I'll be there before she does. So maybe I'll have my spot saved. And everything that man said, he gave me a scripture. It was Psalm 1441. I'm probably gonna butcher it, but it's your hands are prepared for battle, fingers prepared for war, or maybe I got that backwards. But pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much saying my hand specifically. And he said it was a physical scripture that he put that God sent him to give me. And it sounds just like Bare Knuckle if you think about it.
It is.
Yeah. So I was blown away. That's and crazy. I said I have to accept this offer, and I did. And I fought my friend Sheena Starr, and I had won in the second round. So
a total war.
Yeah, I know it's not going to be easy, but
I watched that one. Was that on the Paige Britain card?
No, that was right before it. And we were trying to get me in the spot before Britain. I was hoping that would work out that way. I wasn't trying to step on Britain's toes. I actually had no idea who she was. And I should have known that was going to be around the corner, because that man did say I was not going to have a break. He said that I was going to be thrown in a really dark place, and it was going to be really hard. So it wasn't really much to my surprise, but I didn't know who she was. And she came out of the left field trying to talk down to me. And during my debut, she just disrespected me on and off the camera. So I couldn't tolerate that, and I had to fight her next, even though I wanted to fight Paige Van Zandt next.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that'll still come, man. But I actually hope she wins her next fight, if that whenever that is, because then she'll stay around. Maybe you can get to fight her at some point.
I hope so. I think she has only got one fight left, so I don't think she's probably going to fulfill that though.
But at the same time, dude, like Rachel looked so good.
Yeah.
Did you end up watching that?
I was getting my nose reset in the back when they fought, so
yeah.
I didn't get to watch it.
So you never watched it back?
No, because that was a really hard card for me. I had a lot of. I wasn't treated right. The promotion treated me really well. Bare Knuckle always treats me well, but everything else that comes with it, it was a shit storm. I'll have to say, like a lot of people, once you're already got your name out there, if whoever they're fighting, they don't care about them, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shady, the industry's tough. You hear stories all the time, talk to fighters all the time. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that,
definitely one-sided.
Even if you say it, like, people on the outside won't believe, because you're just talking crazy. But no, guys, there's a lot going on, and it'll only keep getting better. And also, this is like it's an old sport, but it's resurged again.
Right.
So, but you weren't raised religious, were you? Did that
my
come, or
grandma?
Were you raised?
My grandmother had the faith. Yeah, my grandparents. I give them all credit for that. My mom, not so much. She was lost, and she's starting to find her way now. But she's come leaps and bounds since all then. graduated twice from university, and fully recovered, and she's got an excellent job, has her own house. Like, mom's not the same. She's definitely grown a lot. So I'd say that she's finally catching on to the religious, and I don't really like that word religious, but it just depicts religion.
Yeah. I mean spiritual maybe.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Because I was raised religious, kind of. I kind of lost it, but I mean, I started thinking a lot for myself. But I do have a lot of spiritual elements that are very religious that I believe in. Like, I think what you describe, and if I'm gonna say like what you just described, to a non-religious person, maybe it's kind of like the art or the core of manifestation, and really. You got this sign and it gives you this belief that you have to go after this goal, which makes it that it's in your mind all the time. Subconsciously, you're always thinking about it, so you're subconsciously always going to do those things necessary to make it there.
Yeah.
You know? And I do think like religious scriptures, to anyone, whether they're religious or not, should be taken as sort of not just a moral guideline, a moral guidebook. It's more like there's so many lessons in there that you can apply to your mental, maybe, or to your, like.
Absolutely. I believe
that's what it feels like. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I see Jesus as like my strength. I don't feel like I could have done any of this without his presence. Because if I did it on my own, I would have already lost my mind, honestly. I think that building that covenant with him, he will send the Holy Spirit to you, and you get a download of information. And it steers you away from things that, like, I could have been blown up by now. Let's just be real. If I would have showed more boobs and showed my butt, and I'm not downing anybody who does that, but that kind of pushes you past anybody who worked years and years and years and years at this stuff and then get overlooked by somebody like that. So there's something that kind of, I was pushed gently in the direction away from what I was originally doing, because I was in rap videos shaking my butt. I was all over the place. I was very sexualized and sexually charged, and, always trying to be eye candy, which I think that's what caught the interest of Bare Knuckle, or the matchmaker probably wanted me for, because they think that that's where I was. But when my son's father died and I went to the church, my own preference changed. It wasn't that I'm trying to impress nobody, or I think I'm self-righteous, or, I'm holier than thou. I don't think I'm better than anybody. If anything, I'm probably one of the most broken people God probably picked up and used. But I believe that he has a mission for his people to show people the light of the kingdom, and that he does exist. He's very real, and we just have to have faith as currency. So that's what I've learned from my perspective, which everyone has their own experience, but that's mine.
But think about this. I mean, you're would you say you're proud of who you are now?
I am proud of who I am. Yes, I am. I'm trying to accept it. Yeah.
Would you have it any other way? Do you think you would be a totally different person if you didn't go through? I mean, I'm sure you would think you're a totally different person if you didn't go through every experience you've been through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think
so.
They're make a good.
Would you have it any other way? Would you rather be someone else?
No, I wouldn't.
There we go.
That's for sure.
Like, I think that's how it works. That's how it's gone. And
yeah,
you just got to take it the way it's handed to you. I mean, cool. I see a lot of maturity there.
Thank you. Like 1 year. That's all it took. I was a totally different person about 1 to 2 years ago.
What's like what like pivotal moments? What shifts did you make in your mind when you were at your worst? Or was it that religious experience in the church?
It honestly, well, when my son's dad died, he actually was the only person in this world that knew who I was for who I was. And he seen me as a child, and he seen me grow up into a woman. And so to have him take his life when I used him as a guide for my mind, and had to shift it from him to God, because he wasn't my God or anything. We weren't together. We were best friends, but we lost each other along the way. So to lose my childhood friend and you know, the father of my child like that, I heard everything that he's ever told me throughout that whole time. And I was in a really dark place. So the pandemic, I was really resentful towards this whole thing, because I felt like people don't have the right to choose what to do with their bodies. And I get it. We got to do it for the safety of others. But
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm thinking he just decided how he was going to live his life. And now I can't decide, because, you know, this whole pandemic's forcing me to live my life a certain way. So in my mind, I had a tug of war, like, do I be depressed and soak into this misery, or do I stand against all this stuff and just live my life the way I want to? And that's when I also was going through a lot of crap with my gym. So like my gym at the time, you know, I'm back in it, and it actually recovered and rebounded like insanely. But my gym at the time was not the place for me to be. It wasn't contributing much to my career. I was worried that I wasn't getting good training. So everything was just in shambles. And I knew that I had to change myself, because I could not change my circumstances. That was the first time I ever realized what that was, you know, like, you know, it's up to me to change everything around me. And so that's when I found Game Bread. And I started training there with Toby Imada. They recently had to go back to California. So it was a good little year that I had. And I really think that it was heaven sent, because my training was really bad. Excuse me. And I ended up getting my son a membership off of his dad's survivor check at a conventional gym. So I started going there with my son, and I ended up, you know, finally lifting weights. I started eating good. My life just started improving. Oddly enough, my mental wasn't, but my physical was at probably the best it was going to be. Or it's at the time, you know, because you can only do so much with no team and just one trainer. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I had to break out of it. I had to just be my own like motivator through God, you know, with his permission and authority.
I mean, the mental health aspect, you're very outspoken about it. I think it's very cool and very important that, you know, people who are seen as strong and, you know, people have a spotlight on them. And like Tyson Fury, for example, is maybe the biggest name that's been a help in this. Just opening up about it makes people accept it more and really like think and dig deep and realize that they also have their mental health things to deal with, you know?
Absolutely.
What are you actively doing? Also, so I can learn, because I have, you know, my own issues as well. Because it's a constant battle, you know. Everyone knows this by now. It's not something you can just get over immediately. You just learn how to cope with things. Like for me, it's you pick up those tiny things. You learn which tiny things you have to do every day that minimize it.
Yes.
And or you know, and then the longer you go, the quicker you can diagnose it and immediately do that thing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it for me is also like have that routine with the gym. You know, I do resonate with Tyson Fury, who says like if I haven't worked out in like 2 days, well, he has it severely, like he goes into actual depression and he's suicidal. Like I don't have that.
Yeah.
But he you know, I do resonate with, like, I do feel mentally drained and anxious and like kind of on the verge of depression, you know, if I haven't worked out in a while. So what is it like? What are some of the small things that you found out about yourself and things that help that fix it?
I found out that no matter how long it takes, that I have to take time for myself, whether that is sitting in the sauna, just treating myself with a book. I learned that finding books like the 48 Laws of Power, Human Nature, things like The Art of Seduction, those type of books. It's the same author. I forgot his name, but that book, 48 Laws of Power, while finding time, whether it's walking in the park, I don't care what it is. I will give myself an hour to myself to be able to collect my thoughts. And I always tell myself, first things first. When my mind gets all this clutter of what do I do first, it's first things first. What do? I put my clothes on. I brush my teeth. I have to make sure that if I have to, I slow myself down so that I have everything in the right order. And then if things are just too much, like I said, I will find myself walking a trail in the park and reading a book. Just anything, like sitting in a whirlpool, going swimming, just because you got to find time for yourself. You really do. And maybe you have to buy yourself something that you never buy yourself, like a steak. Just go take yourself out to eat. Have yourself a 6-ounce steak. Think about how your week went. Just you have to find time for yourself. And I'd say that the rest of it would be fasting in the morning, taking time, that hour, the appointment with God. I believe that God he wants to give you all this information, but we don't seek him sometimes. And I believe that just having that moment of silence with him in the morning time, right when you wake up, I think is really important. But not everybody's like that. So maybe you just have a book and drink some coffee or some tea in the morning. I can't drink coffee, by the way. I'm allergic, but yeah, you just got to find that
Did
time
you used
for
to be
yourself.
addicted to it?
Yes, I was very addicted to coffee. And then after the fight with Britain Hart, I discovered that I was allergic to it. So
after that fight, that's recent.
yeah, I found out I just started breaking out into hives, and I thought something was wrong with the hotel room, and I thought that I had like bed bugs, and I was really itchy, and so I went to the hospital, and they were like, no, you don't have any bed bugs or nothing like that. They said you're probably stressed out or you're allergic to something you're eating. And I was like, but I eat very clean and I eat the same things every day. So I mean, unless I ate out that one time, maybe it was a burger that I had, it probably messed me up. But no, the steak.
Yeah, the steak.
But no, they said that, to go check out what I had, and I eliminated coffee because it's the only weird thing that I really drink all the time. And about 5 days later, I stopped having hives. So yeah, it's coffee.
That's a terrible allergy to have. Like that's what it sounds like.
I'm tired too.
Oh well. But also, it's apparently like a lot of coffee is bad for you. So I guess it's good in the end. In the long run,
Yeah. Bruce Lee didn't drink coffee
in the end.
Nope, he drank tea.
Actually, I would see him as someone who doesn't drink coffee. I drink tea for sure. Yeah. So there you go. Mental health shifts. Yeah, I get it. The whole doing the small things, appreciating small things as well, and like those. I like to cook, for example. My day starts with you have to make your bed.
Yes.
That's also one thing people always talk about, right? Like as soon as you make your bed, you've done your first productive thing of the day.
Yes, and you want to keep doing stuff.
Following through. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also staying busy. Like I know it's like times when I'm less busy and I'm figuring out what to do with my business and all that. Like it gets tough. It gets I get that anxiety, especially since the lockdown where like I'm inside a lot more. Now everything's back, but I've noticed like it took a toll on my social life as well. I'm just like so into just that work. So I have to keep finding the next thing to do, and that really helps.
Yes, for sure. And sometimes though you could burn out from staying busy. So I don't know. My advice: just make time for you.
Oh yeah,
something that's unproductive that just is only productive for your happiness. That's it. Do you have any suggestions of what you do for your mental health?
So for me, it's sometimes I'll take the bike because we bike a lot here, and I'll just go out in town. Sometimes I even have coffee on a terrace by myself, just like a quick cappuccino. Well, you're allergic to a tea. Let's have a tea. Tea is good. Yeah. Or and weekends I usually like go and see people. But those workouts, I feel like after a good session, I'm good for like 1.5 days as well, mentally as well. Because the next day you still feel like your lungs are still open, and so those are a couple of things that recalibrate my brain, I would say as well. And one other thing is actually checking up on certain friends who I know have, because a lot of friends have recently been a lot more open with mental health too, and those are people like you wouldn't expect, like the real machos sometimes, and just checking up with them, and you notice like they'll start spilling all this information, and then like, okay, actually I like the fact that we're both struggling is kind of like reassuring. And then you end up feeling better after that. So more people should do it.
I'm gonna check on my friends for sure.
So mental shifts and now training shifts, because once you sign with Bare Knuckle, to adapt your training? How do you adapt your boxing training for bare knuckle? I see you conditioning
Oh
your
man,
knuckles a lot. Yours are definitely harder
yes.
than mine now at this point.
Oh yeah. See, and a lot of people misunderstand why I do it. When I fought Sheena Starr, I split her lip open because my skin had scabs on them.
Mm.
So I try to keep my skin really tough, and then when it's time to fight, I cut it so that that thickness turns into a sharp blade. And I didn't do that for Britain Hart because I was told not to, and I was like, well,
That's
maybe I
not a
should.
rule,
But
is it
then
though? Yeah.
no, it's not a rule. No,
Mm.
I think that my trainers were worried that I would get like that it would bleed, and so that I was told not to do it this time, and now I think with bare knuckle, if you've already fought, if you're, I mean, I've had 20 plus fights, including my amateur fights, all total. So I am no stranger of fighting and getting punched in the face and punching people in the face. So
Mhm.
I think it's something that you have to do. Half of it is your own instinct, because if you go in there with somebody else's game plan and they have never done bare knuckle, and maybe they have, there's things that I've been suggested to do that did not help me. It hurt me. There's things that both bare knuckle and MMA fighters, I don't know, you just have your own thing that you're good at, and you have to do those same movements over and over again to be successful, I believe. I don't think that it's very complicated as boxing or MMA. I think it's very, very simple, but it does not mean it's easy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
It's something that you want to do all this extra movement, but you cannot do that extra movement. It'll cost you.
I so for the few events I've watched as well, I just noticed. Actually, the last event there was, I saw that there were all finishes, and that's the thing. I think once you get hit with a brand, it's the whole saying of like everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth or in the face.
For
That
sure.
applies a lot more there, where it's like you can get cut open easily from any punch that lands can cut you open.
Yeah.
So the game planning, I feel like doesn't apply as much in a sense, because once you get cracked properly, like that whole plan goes out the window. So maybe it's
Absolutely.
about like, hey, I need to land first. I need to apply
Yes.
my dominance early, quickly, immediately.
Absolutely.
And
You
yeah,
have to fight your fight. If you go in
yeah,
there with the plan, I'm going to do this hook cross, then I'm going to go this way. It's not, you got to already have it here, and you got
yeah,
to know to do it yourself. You don't really have much help from your corners other than telling you in between rounds, because during the fight, you're on your own. It's not like MMA.
yeah. No, did you ever see the Malinaji Loba fight? Because that's the first one I watched, just because like, oh, I knew Malinaji from because I a big boxing fan, and because he went and
No, I
implemented
didn't.
his he came in, he's a former world champion in boxing, like great, he never had like knockout power or anything, but he was very slick, and he was like boom boom, get his shots in. And then you have Artem Lobov, who didn't have a good MMA record, was doing well in BKFC, and he ended up winning. I
Yeah.
think a little bit of a
Yeah.
disputed decision, but in a way, like Lobov should never be able to beat Malinaji in boxing, but he did, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
such a different sport. He was trying to box, and Lobov was fighting bare knuckle. So
Yeah. And
and you
well,
have the
see,
whole
that there's the
clinch.
thing is,
Yeah,
yeah, the clinch,
yeah,
exactly. The clinch. There's a lot of MMA elements that has been brought into bare knuckle that you cannot do in regular boxing. Another thing that people don't keep in mind is that the boxing glove size is like this, you know.
oh yeah, it's easier
Whereas
to land.
if I'm here and you got like a bare knuckle, it's gonna hit me right
Oh,
here, you know.
that is interesting.
So
Yeah,
it's a smaller hand, and it goes into these spaces a lot easier than boxing, and boxers are
yeah,
not used to that.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's why.
You can't really block the punches.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you block, I'm pretty sure, like, how does it feel in your hands if you're blocking it like that? If it lands in your
Yeah,
hand,
sometimes you'll
yeah.
hit an elbow with your hand. You could break your hand on
Oh
somebody's
yeah,
elbow from blocking, you know? So
yeah.
you got to be
That
very precise with where you punch.
could be a defensive strategy. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in doing the Game Bread FC, like the Bare Knuckle MMA? That's Masvidal's.
Yes.
I think that's like, I feel like that's your domain. Like there it is. Like yeah.
Yeah. That's where I want to be, because but I've already signed an obligation with BKFC to fulfill that. And honestly, if it wasn't for David Philman, I wouldn't even have this Game Bread FC opportunity in my eyes, because I wouldn't have cared about it. Like I'm so I'm so grateful for David Feldman. Like it's unreal. He's an excellent president. He's very personable with you. He's a really good do I say boss? I don't know if I should say boss because I work for myself, but
Yeah, he's
partner
not.
or
Yeah,
whatever he is.
Yeah, not even a client. Yeah, it's yeah. You're a contractor essentially. Like,
I'm a contractor.
yeah.
There we go. Like he's like the army, and I'm like the guy that comes in and builds the roads.
Yeah,
and...
yeah. It's like we need an expert in this. Let's get him in. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
like we're an hour in, but there's some things to discuss. I don't know, like do you have time or?
I got all day.
Yeah, all day. Let's continue.
I'm on your time.
This is a good sign because like usually the ones that go over an hour, it's just like we're really vibing well, and those are the best interviews. Yeah. I don't know how long people stick around for this, but we'll go because you're not just a fighter.
Dies.
Let's go till your phone dies. You're still at 80% now, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not.
I'm good.
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Oh, sorry.
No.
Now you'll be back. Yeah.
Okay.
You're back. Yeah. You're not just like fighting is not everything. And you are getting your business. Are you getting your business degree or you have it already?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting it spring 2022. After this semester, I only have 2 more classes. Cool. And I will be graduated.
Awesome.
And I'll have more time for training and my mind will be free more. So
I love that. That is what made you, I mean, of course, it's a smart decision, of course, to, just get your papers, why not?
Yeah, everybody should get a business degree.
Yeah. And at the same time, I think your advantages, and I was saying this to Jenny Harding, who's at Bellator, she's done, like she was, from the beginning of her career, even when she had like maybe 3 fights in or something, she was already working on establishing partnerships with doing a commercial here for Bose and, getting a lot of production work and stuff. So I think you do need to establish your another brand, like use your brand or establish another business on the side, just in case, even from a young age.
Yeah.
But for you and just fighters in general, you've seen that business and like you've been a part of that for a while of like the fight business with your managers, so you have a one up. Like a lot of fighters a lot of the time might think, yeah, but I don't have the credentials or I don't have the experience and expertise to do fight business stuff. But no, but you have more experience than anyone else. You have a PhD because PhD is like practical work. Like you've seen it all and you have a one up on people. So I was wondering if what you're planning to do with that business degree, if you have any idea, if it's something fight related or outside.
Well, I really would like to apply it to hopefully a management of my own in the future. I want to be able to manage and potentially train fighters up to get what they deserve, especially female fighters. It's my dream to give them the pay that I think that we if you look at Van Zandt, go look and see what her last couple of purses were, and then look at how much of a draw she brings in. I don't think it was fair that she got paid how she got paid. She deserves so much more because let's be real. In the UFC. Yeah. There's no reason why somebody like her should get $1 million contract with Bare Knuckle because she wasn't getting that in a place where she actually loves. You could tell Paige Van Zandt, regardless if she won or not, I feel like she loved what she was doing, and meeting her was like, I swear I've never met a fighter that just was so good at marketing and just keeping up with people and being that people person. She's got all the elements of like what I'm studying to do. Like she's the prototype of the fighter, I guess, like business. I don't know how to explain it. She's got all the qualities that you want.
She's a brand.
She deserves to get paid more. So when I see people like her, I want to build the next Paige Van Zandt. But I don't want that my fighters have to depend all on their looks, because let's be real. I feel like she kind of felt like she was boxed into the position where she had to show more skin. And I feel like that should be up to the fighter themselves because they want to feel sexy, because they embrace the art of sexuality, not because they're obligated by their money. I think that's terrible that people are deciding that, well, maybe they can make their money, on OnlyFans or fan time or whatever it is, this platform, because then we don't have to pay them what they're worth. No, I believe that I want to find and tap into the place where we can do what women's wrestling is doing right now. It's blowing up. I believe that we can get more eyeballs on women. We can get them paid more. And just overall, I just want to improve the sport for women, because there are little girls right now that I know that are about 8 and 9 years old, that they say that I'm their favorite fighter. And I could not imagine leading them into a smoke and mirrors as it is now. Because had I known at a young age that it would end up this way, I would probably work on being something else, like a firefighter, because at least I'd be fighting something that isn't, well, I guess you could say that's weird. Smoke and mirrors, literally. Like, I'd rather do that.
It's a tricky situation because, like, as you said, like, there's a lot of fighters I think that love doing it as well, the OnlyFans and all that. But there's also countless that feel like it's the place that they don't necessarily want to do it. But it gets you paid a lot. Like, you see these checks, it's a lot of money, and
to
focus full time on fighting, you need to invest. Like, and you know that more than anyone. So. Yeah, with her, with Paige, I don't know. I feel like she likes it, and a lot of the eyeballs she's bringing in on the sport that should get her paid maybe come from the fact that she's a good looking woman. So there's like a balance that needs to be held, because there's a lot of pretty fighters too that get a fan base because they look good, that draw viewers that don't have that don't need to expose themselves.
Yeah, well, for sure. And I believe that people like Pearl Gonzalez was always doing what she's doing. So like I said, there's people who love it because that's what they want to do. But girls should not have to compete with each other in the way they look when we are already trying to be taken seriously by our own coaches. A lot of us have ruined our own careers trying to work 10 times harder than the men. And we get injured. We get our mental health gets affected. No one should have to go in the sport losing more than what they already are signing up to lose, which is blood, their record and their careers. So we all take risks, but we shouldn't have to keep compromising just to get our dream made. We should definitely have other alternatives than just the ones that are handed to us by the man.
Yeah. Awesome. No, I agree. And another thing, like I'm trying to push I try to push female boxers a lot, because I feel like it's coming, it's up and coming, it's gonna happen, it's gonna blow up soon, and there's more and more being done towards it, and having them headline. But it's not at the stage. I wanted to at least get to the stage where MMA is at right now, with women's MMA, and that'd be great.
For sure.
That'd be great, because who knows? Like, maybe one day I'll have a daughter, maybe she wants to do that. So, so okay, nice. And then lastly, let's shit on the sports media, because
yes, let's do it.
So shortly after your fight, you posted this message. You were like that you resent the way they do things, and I also resent the way they do things a lot. I don't want to be put in that category. That's why I have this kind of a show. I do have a new show with Alex Wendling where we talk about MMA and stuff, but we never. Here's my thing. This is me talking. I think if you haven't been there, your opinion should be very limited on certain things.
Thank you.
I never want to come at it from a position of, I talk about what I see. I'm never going to say they should have done this because of that. You know what I mean? Because I've never been there.
Yeah.
So it's good to criticize maybe, but it's pretty corny when you start giving like coaching advice or whatever, to me.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. For sure. Whenever I came in, normally I don't have an issue with the MMA part of people, doing the podcast and everything. They tend to be a little bit more mindful, whether they know more about jiu-jitsu, they know about boxing, or they might know just a little bit of everything. And then I can kind of understand why they're more, I guess, like critical to what I've done. But the bare knuckle podcasting is the most horrible that I've ever encountered in my entire career. is a bunch of people who act like they know what they're talking about, and they have no idea what they're talking about. It's all a popularity contest. It's all about, you know, who's in their face for the week, who had their fight and who won their fight or whatever. And you can't tell them nothing until you defeat whoever they like. And I just got to a point where, you know,
it does feel
there was a really big, you know what, as I was saying, even some of the MMA, now that you mention, there were MMA podcasts, or I guess like shows or whatever. There was one particular really big one. I think it was MMA Uncensored. I could be wrong, but he completely asked me these weird questions that were not colorful. They're not as colorful as your questions. They were not personal. They sounded like he wanted to hurry up and get me off of the podcast for some reason. I'm like, what?
One that I can find. I'm not gonna put it on here and put it on blast, but I mean, was it released?
It wasn't MMA.com. MMA.com was good to me, but there was pretty much they said, hey, did you watch that interview with Britain Hart that we had? And I said no, because I don't watch my opponent's interviews. Yeah. And he was like, well, it'd be nice if you did. And so I didn't, but I just went on with the podcast. Now he hit me up. He said, I'll give you a time and we'll do it. And I'm like, fine, that sounds good. And so we did it. And then next thing I know, he's asking me these weird questions. And then he's skating over all these questions about OnlyFans and said, did you know how much Paige is making? Does that interest you in getting that? Like, not talking about fighting. It was just about the way I looked and my past. Like, just, I don't know. It was just really uncomfortable and very rushed. So then I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and look at this interview he had with Britain. And he was just saying, you know, like undermining my record, talking her up, saying, you know, they were having really colorful conversation topics. And he even said we should get a drink after you knock her out.
That's crazy because, well, this is the first thing. Okay, there's an integrity thing. You don't have to be loyal to someone, you know, to be fair, but you have to be fair to everyone. I think this is not, you don't get into this industry to make, well, but you don't get into the industry to make friends. That's where you go wrong. Like, you know, preferring some people over others. You can, like, you have that with the commentators, UFC commentators, for example. Michael Bisping, he was a fighter. You see, he has friends in the industry. He has fighters that are friends that he has to commentate, but he has to still remain impartial. And it's the same way I think the sports media should be. And also get more colorful with your questions. My initial hate towards, like, I don't say hate, I don't hate him, but like disdain towards sports media also is the same ass questions in every sport, by the way, after every game. And the standard ones were like, how did you feel after that performance? You know, the very obvious, stating the obvious, you know what I mean? But also, there's a lot of people pitting people against each other.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're trying so hard to get me and Taylor to be against each other, and we want to fight each other, but I want to get paid for that fight. I already beat her one time. That was the one freebie to where you paid me like crap. So now you're gonna pay me what I think I'm worth, what I feel like I've put out. And if I'm not worth that, well, then we'll wait until I am, or I fade into where you know, obscurity. I'm not around no more or something. I don't know. If it's worth it, you'll pay me. If not, it's not going to happen. So, and a lot of people just want us to hate each other. They even sat us next to each other to try to get us to be catty with each other, which I get.
I'm surprised that it's good you brought it up, because this is funny. Like yesterday, well, I mean, what was it? 2 days ago, I put out the question, and you know, we set up your interview and everything.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that, like, a few days ago, you know, I have a production company. We just did the trailer for this show that Taylor has with a client of mine, David Van Auken at Fight Bananas. You know? Yeah.
And, they hate me, by the way.
They hate. I'm gonna talk to them about this, because I was like,
I only say that because these motherfuckers never hit me up. Like, every time I'm mentioned, like, they've interviewed people from my hometown, and I never heard from them.
So here's the thing. Like, for them, it's like they have a relationship. They're friends. And I thought, because I saw you you called out Taylor when her fight fell out, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was a friendly call out. First of all, I thought it was like there's no animosity there.
No, there's not. She kissed me on the cheek last time we seen each other.
And then she retweeted it. But then I see yesterday I think you were going back and forth, and I don't know what to think because now I'm here involved somehow. Not that they said anything; they're fine with it, I guess. Anything, and not that it changes anything that I think. But
right,
I feel like you think you're being misunderstood here a little bit.
Yes, I feel like I'm misunderstood a lot. I feel like if my titties, I'm telling you, if my titties were out on the internet and I popped my pussy, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Oh, really?
You know, I honestly think from the bottom of my heart, because then they would see, oh, well, here's a picture of Jenny. If you look at all these other fighters besides Christine, Britain, and myself, all the other ones are plastered all over the internet. Some by choice. Like I said, Pearl, she's always been that way. So I'm not ripping these girls. My point is that the media are going to treat you so much better if you give them what they want. And when you don't, you're the one that's being difficult. You're the one that's this. So then they notice all the other things that are bad about you. Because if, let's just say these girls didn't do that. Guess what? They're going to be looking at them a little closer. That you either want drama or you want sex. It's unbelievable. You know, sex, violence, and drama. That's what people want.
Yeah.
If you don't give it to them, they're going to look at something wrong with you. And everybody, they hear the word Jenny Savage or the name Jenny Savage, and they think that I'm supposed to come at people and attack them, which I do. I'm defensive because I'm attacked nonstop, you know, but I'm only responding to the fuckery around me, you know?
Yeah, it must be tough. I mean, like, because there's also that whole element of selling the fight. You got to sell the fight. So, and then animosity sells the fight as well. But at the same time, you can't step too far outside of your own comfort, you know, your own, your real self. Right. So,
Yeah,
I know. But to be fair, it'll be a great fight. I would like to see it, you know.
Oh, yeah, I would love.
But I think you're both lovely people. I haven't actually met Taylor in person either or spoke to her, but she seems to me like a decent person as well.
She's decent. She's respectful. Like I said, we had a really pleasant encounter before we left to go home. Even after her fight, I just was a little upset that she came in and took everything from underneath me because I came in first, and I felt like maybe I should have done something, but I didn't twerk down the stage. I didn't twerk down to the ring. Damn it! I didn't stick my tongue out. I'm sorry. You know. These are the things that people like. And this is what gets you to click on these videos. I can't do that to myself. And I guess maybe I'm a boring person outside of that. But
no, I think
it just means that I have to be creative.
It's just different strokes for different folks.
Exactly. See, I wouldn't want her fans, and I'm sure she doesn't want much of my fans because both of our fans have different tastes.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Anyway, that's I mean, like that mindset. And speaking of, music. Any idea how are you gonna walk out next time? What music? What song maybe you're gonna walk out to?
I think I'm probably gonna walk out to either. I don't know yet. It all depends on who I'm fighting. You know, my last one, I had to bring the Holy Ghost with me. You know, so I walked out to Champion by Dante Bo. It's a Christian song. But I didn't do what I was told. I didn't pray in the spirit when I was in that ring, so it didn't work out.
Yeah, so it's always a tough one, right? Between what do you? It can get you. It can really change your mentality, like that. Whether you're using it for sport, working out, or whether you're about to fight. Like, aggressive? Do you want calm? Do you want dancey? Do you want like epic?
Well, I learned that it doesn't stop you as far as like the Christian song that I played reminding me to do what I was supposed to, because I tell you what, when I seen Britain, I forgot my religion.
Yeah, so that's what. Okay, so that's another takeaway you learned, like, you know, how to control your emotions towards someone and not
mind.
Yeah. Because is it different for you? Sorry, I'm going on with these questions. It's like a talk all day.
Love it. You're good.
All right, cool. Have you ever? How often have you fought someone you didn't like, and how did you control those emotions? Because I feel like if you fight emotional, you're never gonna perform the best you can.
I fought another time before Britain against Khadija Mullah, and it was really her coach that did it. He called me all kinds of bitches and stuff. So I said, you know, your girl's dead. And then I found out she was a cop. So at the time I didn't like police. And I was like, finally gonna punch a cop for all the crap I went through, you know? And I beat her up because she was a cop mostly. I love cops, by the way. I love police. I'm not against the police. I'm just saying at the time I had a little vendetta and I wanted to take it out on a cop. So legally I was able to. So I beat her and then I went to Las Vegas. Do what?
No, once you're legally allowed to, you know, you have to take the chance. It's a bucket list.
And I got to fight her a second time and I won the second time by submission. So I beat her both times.
So you did like, so that's a situation where it turned out well. So, you know, with that aggression. But do you feel?
Yeah, she was also my size, but yeah.
Do you think it's possible to train that mental, like that's the toughest thing for me, I think. If I imagine myself training for a fight and I'm going in to fight someone I disliked bad, like a lot. Training your mind for that occasion, because it's, you know, everything sometimes, like once you're in that spotlight in front of all these people and you know so many people are watching, like just all instructions, everything you've learned goes out the window. And I've had that the first few times I went sparring, for example, like you forget everything you learned ever. And
yep.
But how can you train your mind to stay focused on the job at hand and also not let your emotions get the best of you?
Well, normally the way I've been able to do that is I just ignore everything, get offline. But with Bare Knuckle, you can't do that. You have to promote yourself. And with that, there's a lot of people and they think that they can hide. Like some people know you and they think they can hide in the crowd, but you see every single one. I mean, there's people who I've trained with who threw me under the bus. Honestly, this was the very first fight, which I'm grateful for, even though it's bittersweet, it hurts. But I'm grateful because I've seen so many people betray me for this fight. So many people cross me. So many people choose the other side. It felt like this is the first fight. I felt like everyone damn near, except for even my coach, I don't feel like was confident in me. The only person that really had confidence in me was my mom, my son, and Adrian, my man. Those are the only people that really trusted in me for this fight. So I felt like the world was against me.
I did
thank
too.
you.
I did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it played a big part because when I went into the ring, I didn't fight like myself. I fought calm because I had to be calm to combat the anxiety. And then of course I have my own trauma and my past. And I was looking at that fight with Britain and I did pretty good as far as like keeping my composure, but I was too calm. I was way too calm. I was not Jenny Savage. I was what they call Jenny not so savage, I guess you can say.
Jenny
and
calm, Jenny relaxed.
I feel like I had the ability to knock that bitch out. In the second round, I was gonna knock her out. I swear to God, like I knew it, but I had an amount of strength that I didn't have like in my other fights, and it really took a toll on me. The press conference, the weigh-ins, the open mat workout. I've never had lights so bright in my face. You know, this was a very big first.
I mean, people forget that. I mean, people think that just because you're there that you're supposed to be used to it. I mean, they don't realize it's your first. What is it? Well, it's your second time. It's the first time you're like. I think your event was like the real main event that people that know the sport were looking at.
Yes,
looking forward to. So
exactly,
it's a whole new thing to get used to. Now you had that experience, and you know you can learn from it. It's good. It's good.
That's why I'm ready for the what is it? The rematch.
I'm excited.
We're gonna run it back.
And it's really interesting for me to like get like this look into your mind, you know, like to see what's going on and you know how it goes for a fighter.
Yeah.
Like this is something I would never do, you know. And I would understand it because I've done it and I've also competed at a high level in other sports too as well. Like, and you know, there's some days that just, and fighters have this for sure, and I have it also in training that there's some days that you just can't really tap into the movements and the muscle memory, and you're like, any other day, if this was any other day, maybe even 2 hours later, I would be in it, and then suddenly, you can't bring it, you know, and you get gun shy maybe, or like you're thinking too much, maybe overthinking of like, shit, and then you miss it, like you miss that shot, that opening, like just a split second too late, you know, and you're like, shit, I should have thrown it there, and that just happens. That happens to everyone.
For sure.
I feel like,
when I was
when you were talking just now, that's what I felt like you were explaining. Yeah, that's what you were getting at. Like,
yeah, for sure, man, for sure. The open workout, I think I let out all of my fight in the open workout because I seen her I watched her open workout. I watched Taylor's. I seen everybody surrounding the ring that I couldn't stand because they couldn't stand me. They already chose their favorite. So I mean, it's them against me, I guess, you know. So I felt pressured to like give everything I could in that open workout. So much that my coach was like, "Get out of the ring. You're spending too much energy right now." And so when I got into the fight, I didn't feel the same as I did in the open workout, and I was like, "Damn, did I leave myself in the open workout? Where'd you go?" Oh, there you are. Yeah. Is there any questions that they asked you, by the way?
Yeah, that's what we're getting at now. The fan questions. Yeah. So picked a couple of short ones, and then we're good. And I really appreciate your time. So here we go. Let's go. Fan questions. The do or die Carlos. How many amateur fights do you recommend before going pro?
As many as you need. Don't ever let nobody rush you through your amateur record, but don't be a professional amateur, if that makes sense.
So you'll feel when you're ready to take it to the next level. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's up to you, but don't take too much time, because once you go pro, you can't go back.
Okay, that's good advice. Yeah. Boars1 says, do you lift weights or do calisthenics?
I lift weights. I lift weights and I just do my regular training, pad work, and then spar. Well,
But do you ever like? Here's my follow up to that for myself. So do you try to maintain or try to make sure you don't get too jacked up, too big? Because like muscle takes a lot of oxygen and affects on your cardio.
I use low weight, high reps. So
high reps.
Yeah, I think that's the smartest thing to do when you're just trying to stay within your weight. Excuse me. And thank you. And I think that it's best that you just focus on high reps, just constantly, just like you do with drilling. Oops, yeah. My alarm went off.
You'll get shredded and not bigger.
Yes, for sure.
And Carly_Joe_, how do you manage to train, pay all the bills, and be a mom? Asking because I'm a fighter too.
Well, I was fortunate to be on a program where I could go to school and be in a housing program. And I don't want to stay in it very long because I believe there's other deserving mothers. But being that my situation is a little rough, I decided to take that opportunity that was given to me to be in the housing on a fixed income. So I live in the projects. A big risk that I took doing that because you don't always make it out. You tend to live here until your kid grows up. And I'm hoping that I'll get paid what I'm worth so I can move, because it's not easy hearing gunshots. It's not easy seeing people die. My neighbor's boyfriend just got shot the other day. So it comes with a price to live cheap, for sure. So I commend anybody who's a mom who is trying to live. And as soon as I graduate, I plan on moving out of here. So like I said, I'm not trying to stay here forever. It's just something temporary. But you always trying to find a way, whether that's move in with family, have a roommate. It's not always easy. It's not always easy, but there's options.
Maybe like swallow your pride is the way, for your dream.
That's what yeah. For sure.
Actually, so quickly for me, like based on building on that, what does your son think of you being a fighter?
He loves it.
Does he watch the fights too?
Yeah, he loves it. He just doesn't want to be a fighter himself, which that's what Mike Tyson says, Yeah. He says he doesn't want his kids to be fighters. And that's exactly how I feel about my son. I just do it for him so he can see a figure, because I knew his dad's mental health was declining when I first started fighting. So his father not being in his life and involved as much as I feel like he should have, it was what ultimately pushed me, other than the hardships in life. It was like, I have to be a superhero for my son. And that's exactly what he called me when he was about 4 or 5 years old. When I first started, nice. He was like, "You're my favorite superhero." And I said, "That's awesome. I'm never going to stop fighting."
Yeah. And the discipline that comes with it. I mean, it's a good impression to leave, just like, with balancing fighting and all your other life, obligations. Walt Nimda asks, which tattoo was your first and why did you get it?
My first tattoo was Isaiah 54:17 on my chest. And I got it because I named my son after that scripture. It's no weapon formed against you will prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn.
Mm-hmm.
I put it on my heart because my son, he's always in my heart.
Nice. I like that story. The fake Marlon Vera. you know Marlon Vera? There's the fake Marlon Vera. So what is a dream fight that you would like to see between any two people or characters from movies, and how do you see that fight going?
Oh, I'd love to see this fight. Chun-Li and Captain Marvel.
Oh god. Nice.
That's what I would love to see if it's characters. And then my dream fight would be, oh goodness, I'd love to see. They're probably not even in the same weight division.
Doesn't matter. Like, it's a fantasy fight.
Oh, okay. I want to see Nick Diaz fight Jorge.
Oh yeah. That's in the realm of possibility. Yeah. That'd be sick. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Or
I want to fight. I would see that fight all over.
Nice. How do you see that going? What was the second part of the question?
Yeah, did they fight before?
Nate fought Masvidal.
Yeah, I want Nate to win because I feel like he's the real BMF. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was not really happy with that fight. Female fight wise, I want to see Shevchenko and Amanda Nunes. Did they fight before in the past too? And then
twice. And actually, the second time, I'm pretty sure Shevchenko won, but she got robbed.
Yeah. So I want to see that. I want to see that. Run that one back.
Yeah. Oh, I have good news for you on that, by the way. Like, well, speaking of Shevchenko, so every single fighter who's been on the show for me here has ended up winning their next fight. The only person that ended up losing was Lauren Murphy because she fought. So Shevchenko broke the good luck streak on my show here.
Oh my goodness! And she was doing good. Lauren Murphy was doing really well.
Let's hope it continues with you now.
Yes. See, I'm gonna get that rub from you.
2 more questions here.
Absolutely.
Sabia Al-Jarani says, did you ever have doubts about making it as a pro fighter?
Yes, every day. I still have doubts. And I quiet those doubts with the promises that I was given. That if I stand by and stay committed and persistent, that I will make it. Look at Michael Jordan. I mean, think about Babe Ruth and how many strikeouts he had. They had to fail a lot to be where they were. And a lot of people don't talk about that enough. So,
Michael Jordan was smaller than all the other players too, back in the day, especially.
Yeah.
And in his pro career.
Yep.
The last one, Postfade3 says, you said you're going back to MMA. Can we expect to see another BKFC fight? Well, we've kind of answered that question.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, yes. So. I just can't go to bare knuckle. Anything bare knuckle right now, other than BKFC, which I wouldn't want to really go nowhere other than Game Bread. But there's a conflict between that. But yeah, I'm gonna go and do this MMA fight for Christmas, so I can get my boys some stuff for Christmas, splurge on them, give them something, and return in February. I think maybe February or January, whenever they want me. I was supposed to fight November 6th, and if we could have made a good negotiation, I potentially could have fought Taylor, but I'm not going to be the one that's chosen as a second option for anybody. I'm a priority, and I'm going to get paid like it.
I don't know. We'll see.
She does want it. She wants it. But my thing is this: you want to fight me, but you're the one that padded your record up, and they say that you're above me in rank, but that's not possible because you didn't beat me. You didn't beat Britain, and you didn't beat Christine. So she says that she's the greatest, right? If you're going to wear that crown and step in a big man's shoes like that, a great man's shoes, you got to be able to back up what you say. So as much respect as I do have personally for Taylor, she needs to back up what she says for once and fight the best, Christine or Britain. And I think she should fight Britain because she will get destroyed by Christine for sure, because I've actually fought her. I fought both Taylor and Britain, and I believe Britain would beat Taylor. But my opinion doesn't really matter according to the other bare knuckle people that called me a pissant and all this stuff. So I don't really have a say in it. I just think that I'm not a really good option unless they pay me what I want. And then I'll gladly knock her out.
Oh, it's about time. Some people are gonna start putting respect on your name soon.
Exactly, and I will knock her out.
Yes. Awesome.
I'll
Well,
make that known.
I'm excited. I mean, I'll see if I can put in a word and make sure that happens. You know, it'd be the best option for both of you. So, but hey,
Absolutely.
Jenny, thank you so much for coming on. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you, supporting the platform always, and just good luck. I hope the good luck streak rubs off. I don't count the Shevchenko breaking it because it's Shevchenko. So
right.
the streak continues.
She's the bullet Valentina.
Hopefully.
And thank you for your forgiveness, because I was going through a really rough time whenever I snapped on you. I thought you were coming at me like everyone else, and you proved me wrong.
You remember that? That's
Yeah, I do. I feel bad because I thought you said something. I think I just misunderstood what you said.
Yeah. So here's how I see it. Because I was gaming with my boys at the same time. I was like online, right before, right after that, and I thought. I only went back and I read it. I'm like, oh, she probably thought I was being sarcastic.
Yes, I did. And there's no tone online.
That's the thing. It was typing. Just for those who want to hear this quick story. It's like I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was more like I reacted to a story of yours, and you came back, and I thought you were like giving a one-liner, like, yeah, and I also do this, like I also take money out of what happened there. Yeah. We were going on one-liners, and then I realized, oh wait, you're pissed. You thought I was coming at you.
Yeah. On Instagram, everybody attacks me, and I get more hate than love.
That kind of surprised me though. I don't know why. Like I don't see anything that you do that really pissed me off. No, so it's okay.
You're an awesome person.
Thank you. You too. Yeah, no, and I appreciate it. And if there's anything else you want to promote, you can say it now.
Yes, I want to shout out Sucker Punch for always having my back when nobody else did. Chad Lasley, he's incredible, and I can't thank him enough for everything he's done. I want to thank Bare Knuckle and the people who work for them. They work their butts off to make the production the way it is, and I'm so glad to be a part of something so great. And I thank you, because you're an awesome podcaster. I watched a few of your shows, and you have so much love and effort you put into your show, and that's everything that like I love it. I love this. It's like I'm always having somebody tell me how to do my job, and then in return I feel like I got to tell them how to do their job, and then we're over here coming at each other's necks instead of talking about the fights. And you you are literally the best person I've ever been interviewed by.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I gotta clip that one. That's the best promo I can ask for. So, no, I really appreciate it. It warms my heart, and motivates me to carry on. So we'll continue fighting together. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
you're the best.
Thanks. Have a great day, and
you too.
I'll keep you posted.